defending the homeland, and we are taking back our hemisphere. There was something called the Monroe Doctrine that was ignored for far too long by presidents that wanted to pretend like our backyard didn't matter. And then a president showed up and added the Roosevelt corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. And that president was Teddy Roosevelt, because he understood the importance of the hemisphere. And then foolish politicians over time let it fade. We got distracted by other things all around the world, many of which are important, and Americans did great things. This president came in and say not only is the Monroe Doctrine alive, and not only does the Roosevelt corollary live, but now we have the Don Roe Doctrine, the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. That the territory terrain in our hemisphere is key terrain. Take the Panama Canal, where we're working there to ensure that both sides of the canal are secure, that our ships flow freely, that we have more Marines and more soldiers, a new jungle school there, key terrain. We want to make sure foreign adversaries could not control that. Look at Venezuela and Nicolas Maduro, who thought he could flaunt the United States of America. And then he found out in about 45 minutes in the middle of the night. The most heavily fortified compound inside their most heavily fortified base inside their capital city, and Russian air defenses and Cuban guards were no match for them. Our operators, our rangers, those that do incredible things. In fact, there was a Medal of Honor, as you all saw, that came out of that engagement. What a pilot did in keeping his men safe while landing that aircraft and ensuring it landed back safely. Things of the history books. History still happens today. History still happens in the eyes and the mind of all of you. And then you look at Cuba, where we are, where the United States of America has been for over 100 years and where we will remain in key terrain. And that government has decisions to make about what kind of reforms they want to pursue. It's not my job to make that decision for them. It's our job at the War Department to be prepared for whatever our Commander-in-Chief asks us to do on behalf of defending the American people. It would be unwise for the government of Cuba to try to procure or get access to the types of weapons that could reach this base or the American homeland. They would be inviting the kind of confrontation not only do they not want, but they could not stand. No country on earth can match the capabilities of the United States of America. We seek no enemies. We seek no foes. We're a great friend, and we hope soon we can be a friend of the leadership of the government of Cuba. For now, let's see what happens. But the Department of War will give the Commander-in-Chief every single option he needs inside that contingency. And when designated terrorist organizations, criminal cartels, in drug boats, I would not get in a drug boat in the Caribbean or the Eastern Pacific right now, because we are hunting you like we hunted Al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Middle East, with the same networks and the same intelligence and the same capabilities. And that's why we've seen drug flows in the water drop dramatically. They're trying to find new routes. Doesn't mean they're going to stop, but that's why we formed the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, where now we're working with friendly countries in their countries to find where these designated terrorists operate, where they create their drugs, and we're partnering with them. Sometimes we're doing it in the open, so the world can know, and a lot of times we're doing it quietly, so that we can work with those governments, hunt those designated terrorist organizations.
If the response is in hitting bridges, electrical infrastructure, how would that not be a war crime potentially targeting civilian infrastructure?
Well, it's precisely the kind of disingenuous question that I'm used to from the media, impugning the motives of the folks on our side who are incredibly professional and incredibly effective. We will hit them hard on our terms, on the targets that improve the environment for us to operate in and undermine the capabilities that Iran wants to have. Again, they can't do that to us meaningfully the way that we can to them, but we're also clearly signaling to them, you have a choice. You have a choice in the way that you respond, and you have a choice with our incredible negotiating team in Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and the Vice President and the President across the board, prepared, Marco Rubio, the whole team, prepared to make a great deal that would benefit Iran. They choose not to, and as a result, they're going to meet United States Central Command again tonight in the way the President laid out clearly.
Retaliatory attacks on Iran is underway right now. What happened there? That was supposed to be a couple-minute video. Hold on.
Earlier in the day, President Trump said the United States hit Iran hard yesterday and would hit it hard again today in response to the downing of a U.S. Army helicopter. This comes as the president reveals new information about what he calls a secret mission in the region. We've got Fox team coverage tonight. Aisha Husseini at the White House has more of what the president said today. We begin, though, with our chief national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin, and details on tonight's strikes. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, John. We've just learned that at 5:15 p.m. Eastern, that U.S. Central Command began carrying out airstrikes against Iranian targets. We've heard of explosions occurring at ports along the Strait of Hormuz and along the Iranian coast. We've heard that Kish Island has been hit, Keshem Island, as well as sites in western Tehran. Earlier today, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth visited Guantanamo Bay in Cuba and then flew to Tampa, Florida, to CENTCOM headquarters, where he was briefed on Iranian target lists by Admiral Brad Cooper. Hegseth spoke to reporters traveling with him and announced the U.S. military would be bombing Iranian targets tonight.
Those strikes that'll happen tonight will be strong. They will be clear. If they happen to happen tomorrow night, they will be strong and they will be clear. Central Command will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be. If we need to negotiate with bombs, we'll negotiate with bombs.
Hegseth then indicated that during the ceasefire, CENTCOM had been busy mapping new targets and also tracking the movements of Iran's leaders. He also claimed the U.S. actually controls the Strait of Hormuz after the president revealed that the U.S. military had secretly been escorting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, laden with over 100 million barrels of oil in the middle of the night without Iran seeing them. Overnight, Iran fired dozens of missiles and drones in response to the U.S. strikes on 20 targets last night after an Iranian drone forced down an American Apache helicopter with 2 crew members on board. President Trump said it was a miracle they survived. He said an Iranian projectile lodged between the 2 pilots of the Apache and was on fire, emitting a massive amount of heat, but did not explode within seconds. The helicopter pilots brought the helicopter down into the water quickly. They didn't know if it would explode or not. Qatari negotiators were in Tehran today to try to convince Iranian officials to restart negotiations, John.
All right, so good evening, everybody. We are, as you just heard, bombing Iran as we speak right now. That was just a 6 or 7 minute intro. And just in that intro, there is so much to unpack. So what's wrong already here? Already so much to unpack. So let's start with the first thing. The first thing was Pete Hegseth. He was in Cuba at the time at Guantanamo Bay, and he was doing some PT and exercising with the troops there. And he went through a little bit of the Monroe Doctrine. And it was funny because I remember when the executive order came out. And when that executive order came out, it struck me. And I found a video and I showed it to you guys right then. Nobody else was talking about it, not even anybody in the cabinet, because people don't look at the website, the presidential whitehouse.gov website. If you're not checking that every single morning, you're missing a bunch of stuff. There is so much that gets posted on there. The media never talks about it. And so I found this executive memorandum about the Monroe Doctrine, and it was fascinating. We're going to go into that. In addition, as Jennifer Griffin was just saying, nobody knew what was happening with the oil. Let's look at that for a second here. President Trump, he mentioned it in today's event, and now he says it again tonight. Last month, so it's been going on for a while. Last month, I directed our great U.S. military to execute a secret mission to support oil tankers and other commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Today, I'm pleased to announce that this effort has resulted in more than 100 million barrels of oil making its way through the strait and into the open market. More than 200 commercial ships have safely traveled through the strait. This wildly successful effort is because the United States of America controls the Strait of Hormuz, not Iran. Their military is defeated. Their economy is lost. It's over for Iran. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That is amazing. No details on how they did it. No details how they got 100 million barrels of oil out of Iran without the Iranians even knowing what has happened. That's going to be something people might make a movie about. Let's just drive the boat. Shh, don't say nothing. Hey, how you guys doing? I don't know how they missed it. They drove 100 million barrels out into the open market. That's phenomenal, which is probably why we've been seeing the price of oil plummet. Wall Street doesn't know what to do. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. It's getting ready for Elon's big thing come Thursday. There is so much happening at the same time. You know, SV and I both follow this guy who's got to be in the military. We definitely think alike. He posted this earlier today. I want to show it to you guys. It says, I find it amazing that some people think Trump is just blissfully unaware about the upcoming midterms. That's because he keeps saying, I don't care about the midterms, not worried about them. Meanwhile, in reality, red states have been gaining seats by legally redrawing congressional maps. Let me talk to you about that. Florida was sued because of the redistricting down here. Today, the Court of Appeals threw it out and said Florida's fine. So the Democrats, they don't really have much of a choice. They'll try to bring it to the Supreme Court, but it will fail miserably. Florida's done for them. I know sometimes people say, Barry, you know, you're lucky you live in Florida. I'm not lucky. We got a governor who knows what the hell he's doing, and he's making it work. Trump was about to sign, actually, he did sign a Secure America Act, which fully funds ICE, and DHS throughout his term, which he has hinted will be involved in election security, which is a necessary precursor to the Save America Act and/or an EO to secure elections, EO executive order. Trump also planned for our operations in the Middle East to be concluded before the midterms. That's why there's been no hurry. He knew his time frame. Gas prices will definitely come plummeting. Stock market will be up. Trump will have all the positive optics. Then there's also Russia and Ukraine, which if he were to settle a deal between now and the midterms would be a massive feather in his cap and another huge boost for GOP candidates. Then there's all the fraud investigation, criminal referrals for Walsh Ellison in Minnesota. That's Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, and Tim Walz, the governor. Treasonous conspiracy cases, which could be used to damage the Dems' optics leading to the midterms. Any matter of exposure, declassification, or October surprises could be deployed. In Maine, they're going to find out that he has been texting with underage women. Girls, watch, that's coming. My point is, this is the conclusion, which is dead on. Trump is setting himself up, and I'll add, Trump is setting America up to be in a prime position heading into November, and it's not by accident. He's extremely aware about the midterms. His pieces are slowly moving into place. Combine all the positive optics with better congressional maps, election security, peace deals, and the Dems are facing a historic bloodbath in November. Timing is everything. Trump knows exactly what he's doing, of which I have no doubt. I firmly believe he has a plan, and he's executing it, and he's probably taken names of all the people who've jumped ship, who have decided to be panicans and everything else. So let them be them, because as you're watching, you are seeing all the dominoes begin to line up. And so I want to take a minute, because I want to go back. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I want to go back to this whole Monroe Doctrine thing. In December, actually December 2nd, 2025, you know, way back before Christmas, December 2nd, this got posted on the whitehouse.gov website. America 250, presidential message on the anniversary of the Monroe Doctrine. If you haven't kept up since high school, you may not even remember what the Monroe Doctrine is. So before I go through this document, I want to play a little bit. Well, actually, I cut my video from December, down quite a bit. So you guys can listen to this if you haven't heard it before. And if you have heard it before, give you a little bit refresher, because a lot of what people are seeing, they don't recognize what exactly is happening. And if you understand the Monroe Doctrine, which then turned into the Monroe Doctrine, and the whole thing about the Western Hemisphere, things are going to begin to make a lot more sense. We've let this fade. People have not kept up on it. And so, like, somebody accused me today, and like, Barry, I can't stand it. You're always right. I'm not right. I just read. I do so much research. I have to keep doing more and more and more. And so that's why I can bring this stuff to you so you guys can see it. And then after you see this, if you haven't seen it, a lot of what's going on will make a lot of sense. Oh, now I know why we went to Venezuela. Now I know why we're looking at Cuba. Now I know what the Avengers are doing down in the Shield of Americas. And now I understand what Pete was talking about Panama. If you haven't followed the Monroe Doctrine, now the Monroe Doctrine, since December 2nd of last year, all of this is going to be quite confusing, but there is a roadmap. And the problem is the Democrats know it. They understand it. They can't stop it. So they can cry racism, they can cry fascism, they can cry Nazism, all that stuff. But this has been on our books for over 100 years, just that nobody ever used it. They had to dust off the books and everything, and read the pages and like, oh man, here is how we make America dominant again. It's very simple. It's already been on the books. You don't even have to start over again. So without further ado, let's look into the Monroe Doctrine. Something happened yesterday that I bet you nobody told you about. I bet you nobody anywhere on any podcast even talked to you about this. And I feel at this point we are looking at, as I'm going to begin calling him affectionately, the breadcrumb president. I think he lays things out there and says, go look, go find out, go see what I'm talking about. And there's all kinds of panicans and teetering MAGA who keep saying, I haven't seen anything happen. Nothing is happening. Well, it's happening. You may not be looking in the right places. So I'm going to show you a wormhole of sorts that opened up yesterday. I started talking to you about the whole matrix effect and what we were seeing with Venezuela. This kind of dovetails off that. If you didn't watch yesterday's show, you need to go watch it, because I'm going to be adding on to that with what I'm going to show you this morning or this afternoon. Now, you're going to have to remember maybe sophomore year in high school. You're going to have to dial it back. If you're a boomer like me, you're like, wow, you're going to take me all the way back to 1977, 1976. Well, if you're my age, that's when you were a sophomore in high school and you were taught this. And probably had no idea or no care, like I didn't. It didn't mean anything to me. You probably had no idea what this meant. And you definitely had no idea that President Trump would be talking about it. And right now there's people in the chat going, what in the hell is Barry talking about? So, imagine me being your high school teacher. I'm going to bring you back to 1977, 1976 if you're my age. If you're younger, then it's a lot different in age, but you were probably taught this in high school. And while you were slipping notes to chicks, or on the other side, ogling a guy, or, playing with your hair, or we didn't have cell phones, but we probably all missed this. We probably didn't pay any attention because it didn't matter to us. So I want you to pay complete attention to what I'm going to show you. I want you to take some notes because we're going to refer back to this. So without further ado or holding you off, I want you to listen to this.
In the 1820s, European empires were still expanding. They were eager to reclaim colonies and to assert their dominance over the Americas. At this time, a young United States decided to take an aggressive stance with a message to the world: hands off the Western Hemisphere. This was the Monroe Doctrine, a groundbreaking declaration that not only shaped U.S. foreign policy, but also redefined America's role in the world. The Monroe Doctrine was a foreign policy statement delivered by President James Monroe on December the 2nd, 1823. In his annual...
You heard that. December the 2nd, 1823. Yesterday was December 2nd. December 2nd, 2025. Oh, this is getting a little eerie. On the very same day, what I'm going to show you is probably going to give you like goosey bumps. And nobody talking about it.
Address to Congress, Monroe declared that the Americas were off limits to new European colonization and interference. It was a bold move, essentially warning Europe that the Western Hemisphere was under U.S. protection, and any attempts to recolonize or interfere would be seen as a threat to American security.
Any interference in the Western Hemisphere, didn't say the United States, anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, if you interfered, it would be considered an action taken against the United States. So now you're starting to see something here. Wait a second. Yeah, more.
But what led to this strong stance? There were several key events that inspired the Monroe Doctrine. First, many Latin American nations were gaining independence from Spain and Portugal during the early 19th century.
I'm going to have to keep stopping like your high school teacher here. He just gave you a little breadcrumb there. Many Latin American nations were, ruffling feathers. Latin American.
U.S., as a young nation itself, sympathized with these new republics and wanted to protect them from European recolonization. Second, the European powers, led by the Holy Alliance of Russia, Prussia, and Austria, were working to restore monarchies and prevent the spread of revolutionary ideals. There were concerns that these powers might intervene in Latin America to help Spain regain control of its lost colonies. There was also fear of Russian expansion along the Pacific coast of North America. Russia had already begun establishing outposts in Alaska and was moving southward, raising alarms in the U.S. What were the key points of the Monroe Doctrine? First, the Americas were closed to any new European colonization.
All right. Number one in the Monroe Doctrine is you can't come over here. Interesting. No colonization. No sending your people over here. We're close to it. Goosebumps starting to pop yet? Oh, they will. They will be popping.
Secondly, European nations were warned not to interfere in the internal affairs of countries in the Western Hemisphere.
Notice how that was phrased. You are warned, don't FA with any country here in the Western Hemisphere. Not just America. Don't come over here with your stuff. Don't F around, or you've been warned you might have to find out. This is the Monroe Doctrine that was put out on December 2nd back in 1823.
Thirdly, in exchange, the U.S. promised it would not interfere in European affairs or in existing European colonies.
All right, don't mess with us. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. That's pretty much what it said. We're neutral. We're not going to get involved in your stuff. As long as you don't mess with us, we're not going to mess with you. Which is completely different than all of the other presidents combined have been talking about. They always wanted the forever wars. They wanted to be in Ukraine. They wanted to be over here in the Middle East. But President Trump's like, no, I am the peace president. Don't F around with us, we won't F around with you. Hey, Iran, stop. If not, boom. Okay, well, now you got the message. I'm just going to go back to the Monroe Doctrine.
Why was the Monroe Doctrine important? It laid the foundation for U.S. influence in the Western Hemisphere and promoted U.S. expansion. Also, it is important to note that over the years, the Monroe Doctrine would evolve. It would evolve to fit the needs of the U.S. and the changing geopolitical environment. While initially aimed at preventing European interference in Latin America, it would also be used to provide justification for U.S. territorial ambitions.
Ooh, so wait a second. You're telling me that this 250-year-old document is basically telling everyone, the world, don't FA, and we won't have to find out, and at the same time is emboldening us to make sure the people here in the Western Hemisphere, Latin America, do what they're supposed to do. You know, we're here to make sure that the Western Hemisphere is ours. That's not a negotiation. We declared it 250-something years ago. Our president, Monroe, came out and told the world and everybody out there, this is us. Greenland, everything over here in the Western Hemisphere, you're done. Now think about that from the perspective of what you've seen presidents over years do. Ignore the Monroe Doctrine. Pretty much just let it fade away into darkness like it wasn't important. Until that one man decided, I kind of like this doctrine. And it's something I can use right now with what's going on in the world.
Between 1840 and 1860, the Monroe Doctrine would influence Western expansion. It did so by reinforcing the idea that the Western Hemisphere was under American influence and control.
Two words. The Western Hemisphere is under American influence and, you have to understand that conjunction there, and control. We control the Western Hemisphere. Yeah, I slept through history back in the day when I was in high school. I would have never known this. What time's practice today, man? I don't know. Well, I don't know what this guy's talking about. These people are all dead. And now, as an adult, looking at what's happening around the world and what's happening here, I'm realizing this stuff actually mattered. And you know that President Trump is an ardent student of history. And I bet you he has surrounded himself with other people who are voracious and looking at historical documents. What can you and what can you not do as the President of the United States? Well, one of those things is we're going to do tariffs. Because we're so rich, we had tariffs. Oh my God, he's doing tariffs. He's doing all this kind of stuff. He's doing historical precedent. I can't imagine that the Supreme Court is going to overturn this in terms of the tariff argument. But this, nobody's looking to overturn. It's been sitting right there, probably collecting dust for 250 years. Where we had so much power that we said to the world, this is ours. Talking about empirical. Talking about a country that decided, no, we're just not United States. We're not North America. This is all of our domain. And I never knew that. I never knew that we put a flag in, boom, this is us.
The support of the belief in manifest destiny, the U.S. would quickly expand and swallow up large areas in the West. The Monroe Doctrine would evolve again in 1904. At first, the doctrine was more of a defensive statement, but in 1904, President Theodore Roosevelt added the Roosevelt Corollary, which gave the doctrine teeth. The corollary asserted the U.S. had the right to intervene in Latin American countries to stabilize them.
I'm sorry. The Roosevelt room, I thought they were talking about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I didn't know how much influence Teddy Roosevelt had, Theodore, with President Trump. Did you hear what they just said? Maybe I intervened too early. I want you to hear this, okay? Okay, what did Teddy Roosevelt do differently than the presidents who preceded him?
Larry asserted the U.S. had the right to intervene in Latin American countries to stabilize them.
He created the Roosevelt Corollary. That's an important word. Remember that word as we go forward. Write it down and say, what the hell is Barry talking about? The Roosevelt corollary. He added something to the Monroe Doctrine way back. It said, hey, listen, we now have the right to go into Latin America and make sure they're not effing around. And if they're effing around, we can take some action. Not my words. Not Barry making stuff up. This is actually our history. I'll let you hear that one more time so you can understand what Teddy Roosevelt did way years before President Trump.
The corollary asserted the U.S. had the right to intervene in Latin American countries to stabilize them. This justified numerous U.S. interventions in Latin American affairs and cemented U.S. dominance and aggression in the region. During the Cold War, the doctrine would be revived to combat the Soviet influence in the region, leading to U.S. involvement in various Latin American countries' affairs and even coups.
So it has been used in modern times. There was a guy who decided he wanted to use it in Latin America, and they put a bullet in his head. He was just driving along with his wife on a nice sunny day, and he was, deploying what was given to him by virtue of the Monroe Doctrine and the Roosevelt corollary. And I'm going to get rid of this dude Castro here. And his brains got blown out. And then here comes in 2024 another guy who probably had told some people, hey, I got an idea here, and they tried to do the same thing to him on a nice, bright, sunny day. You starting to see these parallels? So now that you've seen the Monroe Doctrine and the Roosevelt corollary, I want to show you how that relates with President Trump. So when President Trump posted this on December 2nd, and this was just a summary. You can go on to the whitehouse.gov and see this for yourself. But here is where it gets interesting. It says, more than 2 centuries ago, President Monroe proclaimed before the United States Congress what is today known as the legendary Monroe Doctrine, a bold policy that rejects foreign interference of faraway nations and confidently asserts United States leadership into the Western Hemisphere. Quote, the American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintain, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European powers, is what President Monroe professed. With those mighty words, every nation knew that the United States was emerging as a superpower unlike anything the world had ever known, and that nothing could rival the strength, unity, and resolve of a freedom-loving people. And down here is where he starts to talk about the corollaries. And let me fast forward. You guys can read it. It says, my administration is also halting the flow of deadly drugs through Mexico, ending the invasion, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, I recently secured historic trade deals with El Salvador, Argentina, Ecuador, Guatemala, allowing greater and more streamlined market access. And here it is, reinvigorated by, there it is, my Trump corollary. He did the same thing Teddy Roosevelt did with the Roosevelt corollary and created his own corollary. The Monroe Doctrine is alive and well, and American leadership is coming roaring back stronger than ever before. Today, we renew our pledge to always uphold American sovereignty, security, and safety first. Above all, we vow to protect our cherished national legacy of Republican self-government against all threats. And the last part should catch your attention. Foreign and domestic. So the obliteration, that in itself falls under the Monroe Doctrine. Everything that we're seeing happen right now is because of that Trump corollary, and he declared it on December 2nd of 2025. And that's why you've recently heard everybody from Pete Hegseth to Marco Rubio. All of them are now saying we are the Western Hemisphere. The Democrats don't even want to talk about it. They don't even want to bring it up. It's not something that they even want people to know that President Trump is wielding, as they showed in the video when they showed Teddy Roosevelt and he had that big stick. Well, President Trump is using an even bigger stick. He's using the American military to let everybody know, game over. It's different now. So is he worried about some Democrats mucking up the water? I don't think so. I think there is a defined plan to march into November with a complete obliteration. A complete obliteration. SB, let me ask you a question. What do you got going on over there? There's some breaking news here.
Yeah, I just was getting rid of a troll here. Yeah, just sent it to you. Yes, Eric Doherty posted about 10 minutes ago, said President Trump has now confirmed that Iran has to sign the deal or get bombed even more tomorrow night. The gloves are coming off. Trump spoke directly with top Iranian officials in Tehran and asked him to stop the war returns or they sign this deal. So he said 49 Tomahawk missiles, fighter jets over the skies of Iran, and the U.S. military hammering the Iranian regime is sending a message to those in Tehran that they have two options here. Either the war returns and they get hammered on the battlefield, or ultimately they sign this deal that was presented by American negotiators. So the video is about a minute and 20 seconds. Yes, sir.
What was interesting is because Pete Hegseth, when he was talking, and I'm getting ready to show you guys the entire not really a press conference. He made a press statement. He said tomorrow too. And I caught that. I'm like, what is it? What's tomorrow? Now we know the plan that they put in place was some preliminary bombing tonight. And if you don't do it, the big stuff comes tomorrow. Sort of like a snowstorm. The heavy stuff isn't coming down yet.
It's flurry. Yeah, the flurries. The B-52 Stratosphere is flying over them right now, you know?
Oh my God.
That's a big ass plane too.
Robin was looking at the video. We just couldn't believe the wingspan on that thing. It's absolutely crazy.
Huge.
Have you seen anything? Are the Democrats freaking out? Are they talking about anything?
I've seen nothing. I mean, the troll says that Trump is a failure because he's promised no new wars, blah, 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 blah. Another one whose fifis are hurt. But no, other than that, I saw Elizabeth Warren wants to delay the SpaceX coming out because she's freaking out above it. But that's really it.
Why?
Sorry, man.
Why is she worried about? Why in the hell, with everything going on, is she worried about SpaceX?
Apparently, they want to tax you and take all your money. They want to figure out how to get their hands in it because remember, it's all power and money, right? That's what it always is.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe she's pissed. She needs to get a hold of her broker so she gets in on the deal.
We have to stop prosperity at any chance we can. Oh my gosh!
Make it make sense.
I got a piece coming up with Bernie saying the same thing. We got to tax this SpaceX stuff and AI and all this other kind of stuff. But oh man, did you get a chance to look at any of the Act Blue hearings today?
I stayed away from that. I actually took a nap for like 2 hours. I was getting ready for the show, so. No, I posted a little bit about Democrats have doubled down, full maximum warfare. I showed a picture of Bernie holding up Plattner's hand. So, finally they brought communists and Nazis together as one.
I've caught so much flack from so many people about everything going on with California. And I don't know if you saw today, but Gavin Newsom this, or I don't know when it came out, but he took a shot at Trump. I don't know if everybody saw this. And it says,
I saw this earlier on your feed. Yeah.
Gavin Newsom said, Trump says voter fraud should land people in prison. Agreed. Let's start with the politicians spreading election lies with the goal of illegally interfering with counting ballots. In California, I just signed a law making that punishable with up to 3 years behind bars. More to come. FAFO, Donald. So he is out there telling you right now, if you guys had any doubt from what I was saying earlier, he's like, I made a law. You can't even discuss anything.
Yeah, he seems to be flaunting it a little bit, isn't he? He's just like, haha.
Yeah, that's why I wrote, would now be a good time to say, I told you so. Because at this point, if he's feeling that way, the only way we're going to fix that is complete obliteration. I mean, he's rubbing it in people's face. Yeah, we did it. Nah. And I noticed something today. I'm going to play something later on if we have time.
Okay.
Something from Steve Hilton. And you have to actually listen to the words he says. And you realize this law, however stupid, however crazy in California, really has teeth to the point where it's almost like he's worried about saying anything about fraud. Yeah, you'll see that later on as well. So,
okay, all right.
Let me see. What do I have queued up next to come in here? Yeah, I'm going to have the Pete Hegseth. Again, it's not a well, it's kind of a press conference, but anyway, we'll go ahead and talk about that in a second. All right, thanks, SB.
All right.
Because it's. So after you've heard about the Monroe Doctrine and you heard a little bit about what Pete Hegseth had to say, I want to go ahead and play that for you so you can hear everything he said in that press conference. Before I get there, let me tell you about one of tonight's sponsors, this chapter. And as you know, Medicare can be quite confusing. And as someone who turned 65 last year and about to be 66, I can confirm this 100%. Keeping track of enrollment periods, understanding all of your options, and making sure you're on the right plan takes a lot of time and energy. And between Medicare scams, corrupt agents, and bloated insurance companies, it's easy to make mistakes that can cost you literally thousands of dollars. That's why I'm happy I work with Chapter. They're actually honest and the only Medicare advisor that looks at every plan nationwide, helping people save an average of $1,100 a year. That's $100 a month. I mean, that's a big savings for some people. And so they can actually say that for you. They won't push you into buying a plan you don't want, and their support is completely free. 1 20-minute phone call. That's all it takes. So if you're turning 65 soon or have questions about your Medicare coverage, call them at 475-328-3545 to get the most out of Medicare. Most people wish they'd just called sooner, and many people here in the fanfare community have given them a shot. Or you can go to the website, which is askchapter.org/Barry. Give them a shot. All right, we'll be right back.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. a place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here at U.S. Central Command. Admiral Cooper, the commander of CENTCOM, was going to be here with me. We just got done with detailed briefings, but of course he is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be, because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. So, as President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America. And that's not because we want to restart anything we don't have to restart. It's because the War Department is prepared to set the terms to ensure that we get the kind of deal President Trump expects. And Admiral Cooper and the team here at CENTCOM has done a phenomenal job from the beginning on Epic Fury and through this blockade, ensuring that we have a chance to reach that end state, which is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, which they say they don't want. And so since we're so close to that negotiated deal, if that's the case, they should step up and do it. There's another thing that was revealed today by the President that the press has not been aware of, but certainly this building, the U.S. Central Command, has known, is that Project Freedom, the idea of running ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it never stopped. It just went underground. And so there's some things the public knows and some things the public doesn't know. But ultimately, we've been protecting commercial shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz, as the President announced, to the tune of over 100 million barrels that have moved through and more in the middle of the night, protected by the United States in a way that Iran can't stop. They can't see it and they can't stop it. So answer me this. If our blockade is ironclad, which it is, we just disabled another tanker attempting to leave just yesterday. Our blockade has stopped almost 140 ships attempting to navigate in or out to Iranian ports. So if our blockade is ironclad, which it is, and we're able to move commercial shipping in and out of the Strait of Hormuz, who controls the Strait of Hormuz? And President Trump said it, and he's right. The United States of America controls the Strait of Hormuz. We're able to bring oil in and out and other things with partners, and have done so now for weeks and weeks in ways the Iranians don't want to acknowledge. That's a powerful reality on the ground. Add that to what the United States military, what Central Command did to their Navy, to their Air Force, to their air defenses, to their power projection capabilities, and we know exactly on this ledger who's on the strong end and who is not, who's had decisive effects and who can't defend. And so from the beginning, we've shown overwhelmingly the kind of capabilities the War Department can bring. This building continues to plan. And so those strikes that will happen tonight will be strong. They will be clear. If they happen to happen tomorrow night, they will be strong and they will be clear. And throughout, Iran has an opportunity to make a deal. That's the point. President Trump is a deal maker, the best in the world. He's prepared to make that deal. Iran would be wise to take it. Otherwise, they would have to deal with the types of plans that I just had a chance to see inside Central Command. And I'll end with this. I had a chance to thank the thousands of incredible Americans here at the headquarters that represent the tens of thousands out in theater, just the absolute best, dedicated to the success of this mission. Whether it was Epic Fury or the blockade and the ceasefire and the things that have happened underneath it, to give the president all the space he needs to make a great deal. They're enthusiastic about this historic mission. They're enthusiastic about the incredible results that CENTCOM has shown, and the media wants to spin it. They always want to make America look bad. They always want to make the president look bad and make it look like he hasn't accomplished incredible things. What CENTCOM has done here has been historic. And the military objectives that they've achieved have reset the table in this region and set the table for the kind of movement through the Strait of Hormuz based on U.S. control that changes the whole game. We know how much pressure Iran is under. It's clear. We see it. We read about it. We understand it, and so do they. And they would be wise to make only the kind of deal that President Trump would accept, which is a great deal. I'll take a few questions.
Mr. Secretary, 2 questions on Iran. With this latest response from Iran last night, have they not clearly violated the ceasefire? Have you underestimated Iran's military resolve? Like, why do you keep going back to trying to hit the same targets? And furthermore, you just mentioned it.
Who said we were going back to hit the same target?
Haven't you been targeting
Most
the same
of their
missiles?
shots, by the way, missed and were shot down by us. So their efficacy and their ability to actually strike is incredibly diminished. And thankfully so. Our air defenders are incredible, and the capabilities we have are incredible. No one said anything about restriking, and we're hitting additional targets. You resurface them when you have to, but ultimately we know exactly what we're hitting and why, and they can't stop us in that capacity, which means they're going to be less able to see and sense the things they want to be aware of.
And then furthermore, you just mentioned you're going to plan to hit them and strike them hard tonight. If the response is in hitting bridges, electrical infrastructure, how would that not be a war crime potentially targeting civilian infrastructure?
Well, it's precisely the kind of disingenuous question that I'm used to from the media, impugning the motives of the folks on our side who are incredibly professional and incredibly effective. We will hit them hard on our terms, on the targets that improve the environment for us to operate in and undermine the capabilities that Iran wants to have. Again, they can't do that to us meaningfully the way that we can to them, but we're also clearly signaling to them, you have a choice. You have a choice in the way that you respond, and you have a choice with our incredible negotiating team in Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and the Vice President and the President, across the board, prepared, Marco Rubio, the whole team, prepared to make a great deal that would benefit Iran. They choose not to, and as a result, they're going to meet United States Central Command again tonight in the way the President laid out clearly. Yes.
So in the event that the Iranians don't come to the table and they keep playing games and they refuse to make a deal, how certain are you on our targeting ability to immediately find and finish off and execute every remaining senior leader within the Islamic Republic of Iran, an IRGC?
Well, let's just say this command has used the ceasefire wisely and with great efficiency to ensure that we are refining our intelligence and target sets in a way that are far, far beyond even the beginning of Epic Fury. And that's a part of what I had a chance to see today. So when you see the commencement of Epic Fury, if a conflict were to have to recommence, our ability to target, our ability to sense, our ability to see, our ability to get into networks has only been vastly improved over time. So, and that's certainly what the commanders relayed to me. So the historic success of Epic Fury would only be built upon whether it's personnel, locations, capabilities, you name it. And again, remember, Iran doesn't have a defense industrial base, and what they have is extremely limited, meaning they don't have the ability right now to make more missiles or make more drones. What they have is what they have, and if they've dug it out, we'll strike it again if we need to. So we know the terms, and we've got always more capability to bring. Yeah, Phil.
Mr. Secretary, last night the U.S. hit nearly 20 targets inside Iran. Will today's strikes be bigger? And what can you tell us about the status of the wounded Apache pilots who went down yesterday?
The Apache pilots are in good shape. What they did, bringing that thing down, was incredible. It was just Class A work by the great Americans who are incredibly skilled. People don't realize, this is a contested environment. As we've noted, we're running ships through. Iran doesn't really know how to see them or how to sense them. And so they're doing well, in good spirits, and we're grateful for everything they've done to protect the shipping and our interest in the process. What was your first question
and the
again?
strikes tonight, are they going to be bigger, more strikes than last night?
We're as you know, we're not in the business of revealing what we're going to do or not going to do, but ultimately what we do tonight are going to advance our military interests and also enhance our diplomatic position. Because again, President Trump, he's willing to go back and fight as necessary, but has given Iran an open hand to make this deal.
It's right there. They have that chance. They're choosing to play games. They're choosing to tap. If they want to tap, then the president will turn to the War Department. If we need to negotiate with bombs, we'll negotiate with bombs. And we're very good at it. Nobody better in the world. And again, so we're in lockstep with the White House, in lockstep with the negotiating team to make sure we set the conditions, and the targets tonight are meant to do that.
Just a follow-up, I know we spent half the day at Gitmo with you. There's still currently 15 prisoners there, mostly Islamic jihadists. So given Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's detailed confessions to orchestrating 9/11 and other al-Qaeda plots, why has the United States government chosen to keep him alive and comfortable at Gitmo for decades, along with these other Islamic jihadists, instead of executing them and delivering justice for the 3,000 victims of 9/11 and the other service members who lost their lives in the war on terror?
Well, I appreciate the question. There's a reason we started the day down at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, in Southcom, is because we want to make sure Cuba understands that the United States capabilities are robust. It's right in our neighborhood. The Don Roe Doctrine is in full effect.
Wait, what did he say? Did he say the Don Roe Doctrine?
And we're going to be prepared to defend with all the capabilities we need there, but also everything the War Department could bring to bear. So my message was clear there, and it was great to be with the Marines and others, do a little PT, see how fired up they are about their mission down there. But listen, I've written extensively about it. These Gitmo detainees should have been executed, in my mind, personally, a long time ago for the crimes of what they committed against the American people. Unfortunately, the gears of American justice got gunked up all the way back to when I was a guard at Guantanamo Bay. In 2004, 2005, I was one of the guards, one of the, exterior guards, small part, in the first attempts on these trials that were just starting, and there was a lot of hope. Hey, we might be able to try these guys swiftly for the crimes they've committed against the United States of America. And then whether it's international groups or lawyers and the things on top got layered on top and it all got stuck. We're committed to the death penalty in that case and in any others. We don't have any interest in...
Is there a way to expedite it, though? Because it's been, over 2 decades.
Whatever we can do, we'll do, but I share your frustration.
Also on Cuba, you mentioned earlier today about Cuba trying to procure weapons in terms of potentially for other countries and the threat that might pose. Can you expand on that?
Just a warning. Cuba is 90 miles away. No country should live under the threat of those kinds of capabilities across from their shores.
Are you talking about like WMDs or
Well, I'm not going to tell you everything about what I know. There's classifications about things we know that we don't share with the press, which is why we're careful about press credentials at the Pentagon. There's a lot of things that the American people and the public don't necessarily need to know. All I know is 90 miles away from our shores, we shouldn't be tolerating any other country putting systems there. Just think about what, we see it playing out in CENTCOM. When you have weapons that can range like that, it creates factors you have to deal with. So our message to Cuba is don't get into that game. Don't get into the game where you're threatening Americans or the American homeland because that won't go well for them.
But clearly you must believe that there's a risk that Russia or China...
Well, there's always a risk. There's always a risk, right? And we're monitoring the entirety of the globe. I'm not speaking to any specific intelligence. I'm just acknowledging the fact that there's a lot of pressure on the regime in Cuba right now, and rightfully so. They have big decisions that they should make, and sometimes leaders make the wrong decision when there's pressure on them. And we would encourage them not to go in that direction, which only creates the kind of threat the United States may have to deal with. And we have all the options we need in that scenario.
How long would a U.S. military operation take to remove the communist regime in Cuba? And what would happen, per se, and how long would it take to, reestablish order if President Trump were to decide to do a capture-kill operation with Miguel Diaz-Canel like he did with Maduro in Venezuela?
All I would say is options, options, options. Our job is to present options at different scales depending on where the Commander-in-Chief and the President of the United States wants to go.
So capture and kill is still an option?
We've got options all over the map. Just like we've got lots of options in CENTCOM. That's our job.
Yeah.
Our building literally plans for a living. So besides the Pentagon, no one plans better than United States Central Command. So to kind of bring it back home to while we're here, those options are all those options are on the table. The President expects us to be strong and resolute with the way that we respond and bring firepower, and we will certainly do that if need be. So thank you for traveling with us today very much, and we'll strike them hard tonight, and hopefully Iran makes a good decision. Thank you. Appreciate you all.
They violate the ceasefire, as you said?
Thank you.
All right, so that was obviously Pete Hegseth at Central Command in Tampa. Now, they've been very active. SP sent me one, and I had one as well. Tonight, obviously, there's a ton of propaganda, misinformation, outright bull crap that the Iranians are putting out. And then, of course, we have the willing people in our media who are willing to say it and pretend like it's actual news. SV, I've got some. Which one did you come with? Was yours
Two up from the bottom, the CENTCOM one. I guess that.
Yeah, I had them. I already had them put. Well, we go over both of them. Okay, here's
Okay.
one. This one
Yep.
was. Go ahead.
Let's see. Iranian media sources are claiming that Iran has attacked a U.S. warship in the Strait of Hormuz. That was the claim. Well, the truth is no U.S. warships have been struck. So the Central Command obviously knows what's going on, and they debunk their lies. Just like they said that they are now controlling the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, I just put it up there. Yeah.
Yep.
This is another one. Did you lose
I lost the window. Yeah, I lost your window. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
but anyway, while you're trying to. Okay.
There it is.
That's your second one.
I'm back. No, the other one was about the fraudster, but I'm trying to find the other one, earlier one. God,
it's on a screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I just read that one.
No, you read the warships. I just changed it. Yeah, I got two of them here. I showed you that one. That was the warships, and then this one is the Strait of Hormuz. Is there?
Okay. All right. I thought it was the same one. I'm sorry. I'm looking at two different windows. So the claim is, things is moving so fluid, so fast. Claim is Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. That's what they claim. Well, the truth is commercial ships are continuing to transit in and out of the Strait of Hormuz tonight. So, of course, CNN and all the other left media is saying, oh my God, everything's closed. The oil's going to go up. What about the eggs? I'm like, panicking. Can
you imagine? There are soldiers right now who've been assigned, and their job is to stop the crazies from listening to the Iranians. When has that ever been in history? What if we had to have people at Central Command? I got to sit here tonight. Yeah, you got to sit here and debunk the crap that our media is going to put out there. How sad. I mean, I want to be watching satellite dishes and drones, and I got to watch CNN. That's my job.
I'm starting to think that there's cardboard cutouts at CNN.
Oh God, it's so bad.
Because there's no frontal lobe activity. That is for sure.
Oh my God. So I'm gonna jump into Trey Yingst, who's he's on the ground over there, and he actually got President Trump on the phone, and so I want to let you guys hear it. It's like an 8-minute conversation as to what's happening next. Pretty much Pete Hegseth outlined it. So okay. I'll be showing that next. Thanks, SV. And then let me go ahead and talk to you about Lear Capital first. Silver and gold are going to be under attack. You guys at this point know it. So you understand what is the most essential asset in your life is one you don't own. I'm talking about silver, the world's industrial the industrial world is running out of it. Despite all of this stuff, it's going to come back to the point where we have to have silver. AI, which President Trump keeps talking about, demands that we have silver. The U.S. government recently designated silver a critical mineral. Why? Because you can't build a single solar panel, electric vehicle, or modern computer without it. You definitely can't do AI without it. So for 5 straight years, we've used more silver than we can possibly mine. For those of you who took economics, that is complete supply and demand. Unlike paper money, producers can't just print more silver to meet this exploding demand. This isn't just a shiny metal. It's a matter of national security, and you're seeing it right now, how it goes down when the oil goes up. It's all being manipulated. Get your information. Do your research. Don't get caught flat-footed. It definitely is a matter of national security and economic survival. That's why experts see it hitting $150 an ounce, and Bank of America, they said it could climb up to $300 by the end of this year. Think about it. If the industries to power the world need it, if you need it to do everything with AI that President Trump is talking about, with these data centers and everything else, then you know this is a temporary thing, and you see it every other day. But you're going to have to do your own research. I personally own it. I continue to buy because I can tell where that puck is headed. So call my friends at Lear Capital, give them 10 minutes, and they'll help you get started today, or give them a call tomorrow, rather, 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go to learberry.com and download a free silver report. And then read that report and start understanding what's going on in the market, because it's volatile, but there's a stability that has to be in place because they just can't make any more. And now after this whole thing, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't even tell you if it wasn't true. After this Iran thing is done, bada bing, bada boom, it's gonna explode.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Yeah, Laura, good evening. I just spoke with President Trump, who is currently in the Situation Room with Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Special Envoys Kushner and Witkoff. The president giving new insight into what is taking place as we speak. There is an ongoing bombing campaign against the Iranian regime. The president tells Fox News that 49 Tomahawk missiles were used to hit targets inside of Iran, some of them as close as 40 miles from the Iranian capital of Tehran. The president said that U.S. fighter jets are also operating over the skies of Iran, taking out radar systems and air defense systems in the southwestern part of the country, close to the Persian Gulf. This is all taking place as the Iranians are trying to get the United States to stop the bombing campaign. President Trump told me that Iran called him tonight. Top Iranian officials and President Trump spoke directly, according to the commander-in-chief tonight, as the president was sitting in the Situation Room. And he told me that the Iranians asked them to stop bombing. And the president said to me, the bombing will stop shortly. I asked him what will happen if the Iranians do not sign an agreement that was put forward by American negotiators. President Trump said, quote, we'll bomb the S out of them tomorrow night. And so the president is leaving the military option on the table if the Iranians are unwilling to sign this good faith deal that would ultimately open the Strait of Hormuz and ensure that they cannot advance a nuclear program toward a nuclear bomb. That is the bottom line here that President Trump has reiterated over and over again. The reason Operation Epic Fury began was to prevent the Iranian regime from obtaining a nuclear weapon. I asked the president if the ceasefire is over. He told me this was the most violated ceasefire in the history of the world. He also spoke about the broader situation, and Vice President J.D. Vance also spoke momentarily. The phone at one point was on speaker, and the vice president talked about how this negotiating team has dealt with the Iranians, understanding that they have to deal with both moderates and more extreme voices inside of Iran, ultimately to get a deal done. And as the president has told me previously and tonight reiterated, the Iranians understand force. And that is the president's thinking, launching these new strikes tonight much heavier than what we saw last night, again, sending a message to the Iranian regime that they're either going to sign on the dotted line or this bombing campaign is going to continue. The president told Fox News, we've hit them hard tonight. And again, he went on to say that he spoke directly with top Iranian officials in Tehran who asked him to stop the bombing. The president is optimistic that a deal can be reached here, but again, he is reserving the military option. And again, tonight, the latest numbers that we have, according to President Trump, who spoke exclusively with Fox News from the Situation Room, 49 Tomahawk missiles, fighter jets over the skies of Iran, and the U.S. military hammering the Iranian regime, sending a message to those in Tehran that they have two options here. Either the war returns and they get hammered on the battlefield, or ultimately they sign this deal that was presented by American negotiators. Laura?
Trey, do I have this wrong, or was that the first time at least we learned about the president himself having direct contact with an Iranian official?
At this level, yes. And the president even clarified he is talking with top Iranian officials. And this gives you a sense of how involved President Trump is in getting a deal done. And remember, we saw something very similar when his special envoys, Kushner and Witkoff, went to Egypt, and they were able to get a deal to end the war between Israel and Gaza, and Israel and Hamas. And it was a deal that the region said couldn't be done, and the president got directly involved to get it across the finish line, and he is doing that here tonight. One other note, I asked the president, are the Israelis involved in this bombing campaign? He said, no, they are not. Certainly the Israeli military remains on high alert, as does the U.S. military. There are more than 50,000 U.S. forces across the region. And again, many of those forces involved tonight in this bombing campaign of the Iranian regime, 49 Tomahawk missiles, fighter jets over the skies of Iran, and a message with bombs, sign on the dotted line or the war continues. Laura?
Trey, it's clear he's impatient. He thinks these negotiations have stalled. He doesn't like to be jerked around on this stuff. And he's like, I'm going to get it done. That's just the way he is with everything, to your point. He's like, I'm done here. I'll do it. I know how to do it. Let me take over. It seems like that's what the president is doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've talked with the president a number of times since Operation Epic Fury began. And he has extended an olive branch to the Iranian regime time and time again. And they've not taken it. Remember, when we rewind here to before Operation Epic Fury began, this is very important, a very important point here. The opening position of the Iranian regime to U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is that they had enough highly enriched uranium at 60% purity, just a step away from weapons grade, to create 11 nuclear bombs. And so the president took them at their word and ultimately launched this operation that followed up on the bombing campaign last summer during Operation Midnight Hammer that destroyed Iranian nuclear facilities. Because remember the process here in terms of getting that uranium ore turned into this highly enriched material that can be used for weapons. It's a process that was taking place inside of Iran, turning that yellow cake into hexafluoride gas, spinning that gas in centrifuges, these advanced centrifuges that the Iranians had many of, and then creating a higher and higher form of high.
You know, it's interesting as he's talking, and I was reading the chyron at the bottom where it says Trump says that the bombing will stop shortly. I'm trying to figure out what the strategy is here. Is he trying to call their bluff? Is he going to keep pushing them? You got to wonder what exactly is the movie we're watching. I don't know. Months ago, I don't even remember how long ago it was. I'd have to go back and find it. Just like my Monroe Doctrine video. I did a video on Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, Art of War. President Trump, Art of the Deal. He was a student of Sun Tzu. And so SB just sent me something from our favorite guy on X. But before I bring SB on, I want to show you this Sun Tzu statement. All warfare is based on deception. Hence, when you're able to attack, we must seem unable to attack. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Deception. Everything is just a movie. Nobody really knows what's going on. One of the things I found interesting, and I would not be surprised at all, if we find out later tonight or tomorrow, they actually go after Cuba. Because when you look at what this is all about. If it's all based on deception, and part of that is to make the enemy think you are far. Well, how could you make Cuba feel you're far? Oh, let's go ahead and drop some bombs in Iran. Oh, he must be focused over there, but then come back over here. I don't know. We shall see. SB, here, this is a great post.
This kind of reminds me of Venezuela, Maduro. Didn't we kind of do the same thing? Slipped in the night, and suddenly he's in the U.S.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, they went as far as to send B-2 bombers the other way and everything. So people didn't know. Yeah, that was the initial Iranian bomb, but it was all kinds of
shells.
all kinds of shells. And
all the money.
I swear, clandestine is not my alter ego, but
I love this guy or whoever it is.
All right, we'll take a look at it.
All right, so he writes 10 minutes ago, I don't think the people Trump is negotiating with in Iran are on the same team as the IRGC. I think Trump already has a deal in place with the next regime, and they are covertly working with Trump to facilitate the transition while circumventing the rogue IRGC. And much of what you see is just theater. The Iranian people are being held hostage by this radical Islamic regime, and Trump is trying to surgically eliminate any rogue elements while not completely destroying Iran's future. We want to preserve the nation for the Iranian people and free them from the shackles of this illegitimate regime. I think there's much more going on than we can see, and that is by design. Victory is already secured. It's just a matter of a smooth transition.
Of course it is secured. I mean, anybody knows you don't get into a situation without knowing how to get out. And everybody, not everybody, but so many people on the left kept saying, just forget about it. We're losing. Just leave. And he wasn't ever going to leave. It was right where he wanted it to be. And so right now, with the amount of propaganda being put out, and I'm looking at, if the news doesn't have much. If Trey Yinks has something, it's fine, but for the most part it's very quiet. And I think somebody pointed out it's like 4:00 in the morning over in Iran right now. So of course the bombing is going to stop because it's almost going to be daybreak, so they don't like doing it during the day. So it's but we got a long way to go tonight in Cuba. It's
Meanwhile, Pete's over there, he's doing push-ups. I'm telling you, he looks in better shape than he did when he started. I think that's true. He might be tough, man.
I mean,
I got to learn what he's doing. I got to get into his routine.
It's 8:15 right now here in Cuba. Well, I'm not in Cuba, but in South Florida. So if I were them, I'd be terrified because they're going to stop in Iran. It's going to be daylight if it's like 4:00 in the morning very soon, and just watch out. You know what's funny? One night, Robin and I were sitting out by the pool at night, and we hear this, and a whole bunch of helicopters. Army helicopters were just going by at night, and I'm like, where the hell are they going? Because we live so close to the Everglades. There's nothing out west. It's just from here to almost the west side of Florida. There's nothing out there but alligators and crocodiles and pythons. So what the hell they were doing over the Everglades and heading south, I don't know.
What do you? Okay, I was going to ask you, did you have any ideas what that might have been? But
if you look at an overhead map in South Florida and you look at where the Everglades start, we're literally a mile away from the west, we're in west in terms of where the Everglades start, and then there's nothing there. It's pitch black, as you would imagine. Nothing. And so if they're out over the Everglades flying around low, you had to wonder where the hell because there's nothing there.
They don't need to look very far for alligators. They're everywhere, right?
maybe they go down to Alligator Alley, dropping some of the boys off or something. I don't know. All right. Let me know if you come across anything else in regards to this stuff, my man. I will get back to you as soon as possible because there's a lot of stuff happening. Just so much. Now I'm going to run this. I guess we'll call it a spot from one of our sponsors. Again, no, I won't run it now. I'll wait till after we do this next segment. So this next segment, we're going to get away from the war here now, and we're going to talk about something that happened today. I mentioned it to SV, and I don't know if you had a chance to see any of this Act Blue stuff. But when you see this, you have to believe at this point the Democrats know the proverbial walls are closing in. It's getting very, very tight. And Act Blue, that's their money. As much as USAID was their money, Act Blue is their money.
My name is Regina Wallace-Jones, and I am the president and CEO of Act Blue. Since 2004, Democratic candidates and mission-aligned causes have raised over $19 billion on Act Blue. From presidential campaigns to school board races, Act Blue is the trusted fundraising platform for small dollar donors.
Yeah, the trusted. Let me just tell you, in that little 24 seconds that she spoke, that's pretty much more than she spoke the entire hearing today. That's it. She didn't have any problem coming out and making that video before she went to court or to the congressional hearing room. But when she got there, she had like laryngitis or something. And it's going to piss you off. I mean, I think it'll piss you off. I mean, I have to assume if you're watching this, you're a Trump supporter, you're a MAGA-loving American, and you're not going to believe the clown show that unfolded on Capitol Hill. This is the CEO of Act Blue. She runs the Democrat Party's personal piggy bank. She runs all their money. So she sat there in front of Congress today, and she pled the Fifth Amendment over and over and over and over again. She just kept pleading the Fifth. She wouldn't even confirm her own name. One of the guys asks, is your name Regina Wallace-Jones? On the advice of counsel, I respectively declined to answer this question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights. She wouldn't even confirm her name. How you would incriminate yourself by confirming your name is beyond me. That should have been a slam dunk. Yeah, that's me. I'm her. She is I. But she couldn't even confirm the fact of what her name is. Just let that sink in. The head of the biggest Democrat money machine in the country couldn't even say to the people on the dais, yeah, that's me. It looks like a mob boss in a federal trial. It looks like something out of The Godfather or Goodfellas. This is the same Constitution that they say they love, only when it suits them, because suddenly now they're terrified. When you got to take the Fifth Amendment on your own name, you realize at this point, I can't say anything. I am so boxed into a corner. I need this constitutionally protected, get out of jail free card. But at the same time, no, it doesn't infer any guilt. Sure it does. But you're going to make people want to dig. This wasn't some low-level staffer trying to save their ass. This lady is the boss lady of the entire Democrat fundraising empire. And she pleaded the Fifth like it was going out of style. And the worst part about it, the worst part was the absolute smugness in which she pled the Fifth over and over and over again. I mean, here, check. Let's finish off her introductory video that she posted before she went into the congressional hearing room.
We've helped millions of Americans participate in grassroots democracy. Now, President Trump and his allies are abusing their power to target Act Blue. I was called to testify before Congress, and I will invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Invoking the Fifth Amendment is not an admission or even an insinuation of guilt.
Which is true. But then the other question is, well, then why do you need to do it? How could you possibly incriminate yourself by refusing to confirm your name? Hey, is your name Fred? I can't touch that question because I might incriminate myself. Is it a crime to be called Rachel Williams, whatever her name is? Is that a crime? Or are you working on a persona? Is that not your real? Why the hell could you not confirm your own name?
It is the only reasonable response to a highly partisan proceeding that is about harassing its largest political opponent's fundraising platform, not genuine oversight.
Now, you understand what she's saying here. She's making declarative statements. She's telling people in their audience everything they're doing is a witch hunt. There's nothing on me. There's nothing you can find here. There's no evidence. But then again, there's no evidence because you won't talk.
Last year, President Trump directed the Justice Department to investigate ActBlue, not based on facts, but dislike. Republican committee chairs wrote to Trump's Attorney General pledging to work collaboratively together. The Supreme Court has been clear. Congress has no authority to conduct criminal investigations. These attacks did not start with ActBlue, and sadly, we know they are not stopping here. They are part of a much bigger trend of retaliation and retribution. It was universities, it was law firms, then civil rights organizations. We will not be intimidated. We will keep fighting on behalf of the
I love when people say I'm not going to be intimidated while they're being intimidated. I will not be intimidated. What's your name? I can't tell you. Why? I might incriminate myself. Oh, okay, so you are intimidated. The words coming out of her mouth don't make any sense. If you're not intimidated, I will not be intimidated, then why won't you talk? Because I might say something that you might use against me and put me in jail. Oh, so you are defining intimidation. It is specifically intimidation. There's no other way you can look at it other than outright fear. You're a wussy. I'd use a different word, but I can't amongst friends here. If you didn't do anything wrong, you could clearly say your name. I've never, ever, even in movies, seen somebody take the Fifth Amendment when asked, what's your name? I watched Godfather 1, 2, 3, even with Robert De Niro. I've watched Casino. I've watched Goodfellas. I've watched them all. The Hoffa movie, everything. I love mob movies. And I've seen them go into trials. And I've never seen anybody, anywhere, at any time in my life go, hey, is your name Fred? Can't tell you. That is the epitome of intimidation.
Tens of millions of small dollar donors who are counting on us. The stakes couldn't be higher. It's about protecting and promoting our democracy now and for future generations. So thank you. Thank you for standing with us.
All right, so then she now goes into the hearing room. She posted that on X, and then she decides to go into the hearing room. And as you're watching this, you're going to get pissed off. You're going to get pissed off because, again, just like you got pissed off with me about the California thing, and some people said I was being arrogant and cocky. Oh, you haven't seen arrogant and cocky. Listen to how this woman just completely goes to every single one of these congressional men and women. Doesn't care. I don't care. Don't worry. I'm not going to play the whole thing because we'd be here for 2 hours. I just took some excerpts so I could show you.
Foreign funds have no place in American political campaigns. American elections are for American citizens only. Ms. Wallace-Jones, in 2023, I sent you this letter with 5 straightforward questions with a goal of confirming that foreign funds are not in our elections and that ActBlue had adequate fraud prevention measures in place. You replied a month later with a 4-page letter describing your fraud prevention policies and procedures that you had in place at ActBlue. But according to the New York Times, your response to this committee may have been false and misleading. Ms. Wallace-Jones, when you signed this letter to me, did you believe that this letter was false and misleading?
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Over and over and over. I'm holding up a letter that you signed. Is this your signature? I can't tell because you won't even confirm your name. I'll show you that in a little while. Is this you? You talked to the New York Times. You sent me you actually mailed a 4-page letter, but now you won't even ask smugly. I can't talk about it.
Ms. Wallace-Jones, before you sent this letter, did you believe, was it brought to your attention that this letter that you sent me was false and misleading?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Now, all right, let's take it for granted. Let's say right now she's not guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. And answering the question could incriminate her. I want you to focus on the questions, because if the answer to the question could potentially incriminate you, holy heck. Oh my gosh. The question is so bad. So it is not something that I want to drag you guys through a couple hours here. I want you to focus, because she's going to say that over and over. Listen to the questions. And at any point, think to yourself, as the question is asked, how could that possibly incriminate you? See, that's the other part of this I didn't understand. Hey, did you buy an extra number 2 pencil? Yeah, I bought an extra number 2 pencil. Did you eat lunch at, Starbucks or Popeyes? I can't answer that. It might incriminate me. Incriminate you to what? That's the part, as you listen to this, okay, you can't answer because it could incriminate you. And then that makes you have to focus on the question. You're telling me that this question causes you or told your attorney to tell you to shut up.
Well, I think it's important for everybody here to know that according to the New York Times, you've been aware for quite a while that the response you made was likely false or misleading. Did you ever consider correcting the record for this committee when it was brought to your attention that your letter to me was false and misleading?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to the attorney-client privilege and my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
It's pretty interesting.
So she claimed 2 that time. First, it was the Fifth Amendment and attorney-client privilege, both of them. I can't talk to you about this. Okay, the question was, did you even think about updating the letter or clarifying? She couldn't answer that.
So now you're following the advice of your legal counsel, but you didn't when they warned you that your letter to me was false and misleading. Your letter claimed that passport information is required from donors providing an address outside the United States. In November 2023, when you wrote that letter, did every ActBlue donation that provided an address outside the United States require passport information?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
So you see the guy in the background just going, you got to be kidding me. This is a layup. I could play horse with LeBron if he gave me this kind of a layup. Yeah, I got this. Did you make sure that the money coming from your donors was from Americans? Can't answer. That's a layup. That should be the baseline. Yeah, of course. Every single donation we got, no matter where it was from, we confirmed that they were Americans. Nope, can't answer that one. That's going to be easy to figure out.
Okay. Your letter also claimed that ActBlue would contact a donor to request passport information if the contribution appeared to be from a foreign address. And you told this committee that the contribution would be refunded if ActBlue was unable to make contact with the donor. Is that correct?
On the advice of counsel.
All right. Again, that's what I'm saying. Focus on the question. You can't answer that one. You can't answer that you would refund the money if you found out that it wasn't a legitimate American address. That's a layup. Hey, yeah, we got an envelope from, Sudan, and we had to send it back because it wasn't an American. Why do you need to have criminal protection for possible incrimination if you're just doing a regular job?
I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Well, we have reason to believe that your letter in 2023 was not correct. Because according to the New York Times, donations that were made through third-party apps like PayPal or Venmo, that passport information was not always required. So what's true? The 2023 letter you sent me or the New York Times article?
On the advice of counsel.
See, she has obviously been told to say all this stuff, and she can't answer anything, but they already have the information. They already know which donations came through PayPal and Venmo and WhatsApp, Cash App. They already know. They already know. There's no way you know where this money came from. PayPal and Venmo and all the rest of them, they don't check a passport. And you would have no idea if somebody wired you money and hit the app and sent the money in, because there's no way that you would be able to verify where they came from, i.e., somebody, we can't incriminate her, somebody said, yeah, just bring in everything. That's how we make our money. We need to grab as much cash from as many different people around the world to give to Democrats. Let that sink in. You're talking about election interference coming from all kinds of different countries, and you're getting 50, 60, 40 bucks from somebody, I don't know, in Albania. And then giving that money to a American candidate. Some heads got to roll.
Respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
After you sent me the 2023 letter, ActBlue weakened its fraud prevention rules twice in 2024. Quote, even after internal assessments confirmed that these policy changes would lead to more fraudulent donations, end quote. Did you weaken fraud prevention standards to increase donations on the ActBlue platform?
Yeah, she can't. Yeah. This one, I would advise it to shut up. Don't say nothing. Yeah, did you decrease fraud regulations? Oh no, I'm not touching this one. This one would have been a trap door. She would have just disappeared forever.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
See, like I said, the problem I'm having with this is the smug, I don't give an F type of look. Yeah, we're stealing money. Yeah, we're frauds. Yeah, we're breaking the law. I don't care. And this is why I posted earlier, because I see this and I saw something on The View. We are in a civil war with what Gavin Newsom is doing in California. People got pissed at me for talking about it, but it's really happening. And you've known about USAID, and you've known of fraud in Minnesota, and now you're seeing the new fraud, which is just the same as the old fraud. Not to confuse anything with Pete Townsend, but it's the same thing. And the problem with it is there's nobody ever contrite. There's nobody who's like, this is really bad. I was trying to. No. It's like, I'm not telling you anything. You can't do anything to us. I'm untouchable. And it's disgusting. Every time you pull back the curtain in the Democrat Party, there's a whole bunch of snakes and roaches running around. And it's a problem because the rats and roaches and snakes are all smiling at you, daring you to come at them.
Ms. Wallace-Jones, I want to make clear for the hearing record You've been asked legitimate questions that are intended to elicit information the committee has the right to have to aid our inquiry. You've refused to answer the questions. Are you formally asserting your Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination today?
On the advice of counsel.
She can't even answer that. Wait a second. Are you formally invoking your Fifth Amendment rights? I can't, on the advice of counsel, I'm going to claim the Fifth Amendment by not telling you that I'm claiming the Fifth Amendment. That's what she just did.
So I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
For the record, I think it's important to know that we invited you to come here today to testify. Originally, you were coming voluntarily. On Monday, your attorneys reached out to this committee and requested a subpoena for you to testify. We provided you that subpoena. You're here today, you have an opportunity to testify, and you've chosen to take your Fifth Amendment constitutional right.
Oh my gosh. You can't make this, I've never seen a mob movie like this. Let me know if you have. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything like this crap. But it's beginning to happen on an almost daily basis. It just keeps, you're like, wow, how bad is it? And every time we hear something, whether it's Nick Shirley stuff or JD Vance, and they keep uncovering this thing. By the way, they just found a doctor here in Stuart, Florida, and she took like $90 million. I'm like, I can't even understand how much money has been stolen from the American people. And no wonder they're freaking. No wonder they want to put a bullet in his head. They can't stop this. So at this point, that's why they're doing their full-on maximum warfare. Is SV here?
Yes. Hey,
before I go further,
okay.
This is crazy. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to dovetail perfectly into your I don't even fraud. I sent it to you earlier, but I'm going to send it. I sent it to you again. So this was a big story about fraud. 2 hours ago, huge news. I think he was one of the guys that was on your cheat sheet from last night.
Yeah, he was one of the top 10. It looks like they pulled him down.
Right. So here I go. So the FBI has just arrested most wanted fraudster, said Abdullah Ireg. Hope I didn't butcher that. Who cares? After he allegedly stole over $4 million from the federal child nutrition program in Minneapolis. He said Abdullah Ireg, the first ever arrest of the most wanted fraudsters since the White House task force to eliminate fraud released our most wanted fraudsters list last week. Anyway, he just landed in Minneapolis and was taken into custody after turning himself in. At least he wasn't running, jumping out of the building and broke his leg and, escaped in one of his fancy cars. Anyway, he's been on wanted federal charges since 2024. So, this is really sad because, he took $4 million from the federal child nutrition program in Minneapolis during the COVID-19 pandemic from 2020 to 2021. He allegedly falsely claimed to have served meals to children in need, claiming fake reimbursements from the government, and then he laundered the money through foreign accounts to fund a lavish lifestyle. He's charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and money laundering.
Okay. So where do you think that $4 million ended up? Because when you couple that to what you just heard in this hearing, and one of the questions was, did you verify where this money was coming from overseas when you took in these donations? Because I'm going to steal it from SNAP or some children program. I'm going to wire it overseas, and then we're going to come backdoor and give it right back to the Democrat Party. How much you want to bet that's what's been going on? That's how they raise so much damn money. We steal it here. We got to basically wash it and launder it. So we got to send it over to Sudan, and then we're going to wire it back in Cash App and PayPal and everything else. And here's the other problem. All of these companies, Cash App, probably Zelle, probably Western Union, name them all. over with the numbers we've seen, can you imagine how much in fees they've taken in?
Oh, that's why they're rich as hell. um, yeah, but now since they're starting to turn off that spigot, I mean that's why they're all getting very upset about it. But how are they going to cover that? Because there is no real law covering going after PayPal and sending something through WhatsApp or Zelle, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, there is, because right now they just told you they just said that I mean, it says right there he laundered the money through foreign accounts. What they didn't tell you in this post, and what they didn't tell you in the arrest was, well, when you launder money, where the hell did it go? You know what I mean? Because
yeah, no, I see. But I mean,
they're saying it right there.
How, I mean, if someone were to see if I got like say $100,000 Zelle transfer, that'd be great. But I mean, nobody's going to question it. Would my bank say something? Probably not, right? I mean, they're happy to keep the money in the bank.
When they're doing, by the time they've gotten to this point where they've already named these people and the amounts, more than likely what Scott Bessent and these guys have done is they've already traced the routing of the money. Because if you're here and you had to wire that money to, I don't know, Abu Dhabi. Okay, so it went to Abu Dhabi, and they probably know your IP address on your computer and everything else. Where did that money get sent to? Well, it got sent to by Cash App into ActBlue. Hey, ActBlue, did you check where it came from? Nope, I can't talk to you about that.
I claim the fifth.
I claim the fifth. Can't tell you. I mean, if I say go rob a bank, you rob the bank, and I said don't send me the money. Go ahead and go to here or there and bounce it around off of this and off that. Then it'll land in my account. And so they're actually saying it. He charged with conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering. So the part they're not telling us, which is I think where the juice is tell us the rest. Where did it get laundered to? Where to get laundered? Who? I mean, because they gave us enough to know. Okay, he's in trouble, but now the rest of the shoe has to drop. Who did you launder the money to? And I gotta believe this, as we said, this theft couldn't have gone. These guys didn't come over here off the boat and decide they're going to rip off these programs. Somebody had to teach them. And if whoever taught them said you're going to kick back 30, 40, 50, 60%. And that's what I think that they're probably trying to do is just run that down.
Well, in the case of this guy, I mean, I'm looking at the dates. So he did this during 2020, 2021. So he's been under somebody's microscope for quite some time. So, but as you say, once these higher kingpins get taken down, I mean, they're going to start squealing, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think he wants to be in a prison for too long.
Nope.
So yeah, this seems to be a daily occurrence. I mean, every single day I'm finding more of these kind of stories. I mean, it never ends. It's so expect more. And then, California is going to be a tougher nut to crack because, even though Newsom is stupid as AF, he's definitely, well, he is, right? I mean, he claimed he goes, I'm not very bright, with his legs crossed like a, yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway,
well, on that post that he put up, it was very interesting to me. This was the post he put up, and the very first person who commented on his post, very first person was Nick Shirley.
Yeah.
And Nick Shirley just said, you signed SB 73 before the LA mayoral election. This law prohibits unauthorized access, disruption, modification, yada, yada, yada. You are actively making laws to make it harder for there to be election integrity. I mean, so, when I was saying all that stuff yesterday, I didn't say it without digging into it. So I knew what was happening. And he got so cocky today as to tell Trump FAFO. Like, and that entire thread is nothing but people going, I cannot believe you're saying this out in public. Just everything with them is flaunted right in your face.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fortifying the fraud for many, many years, and I think he really feels he's untouchable. I mean, with Hilton, Trump's like, well, they had to bring in Hilton because it would have been totally fraud, but I think they're going to cheat on that one as well. I mean, the same thing's going to happen. They'll find the votes. I mean, there was a story where they found there were thousands of those ballots in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. So it's crazy.
What in the hell? So yeah, California is going to be tough. I mean, you know, the fourth largest economy in the world. I mean, yeah, this guy definitely has a lot of things in place that's protecting him. So
crazy.
We have the elephant's trunk. I'm going to enjoy when he gets taken down. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but it's going to come.
But soon,
like
absolutely soon.
Yes.
All right, I'll be back at you. We're going to take, I think Jim Jordan might be next with this Act Blue lady. But before then, let me tell you really quick if I can make this work this time. Last time I did it, I had a problem with it and it didn't work. So let's look at it now and see if everything is fine. Wait a second. Every time I try to do something on some of these apps, it goes like haywire on me. Okay, let's do this. All right, so I want to tell it, let me just make sure it's up. Last time we did this, the URL code didn't work. So if you want to get this Trump knife, here's what I want you to do. If you want to get this Trump knife, they're setting this knife out for free. It's a free Trump red knife. All you've got to do is pay shipping. It's Patriot Addict's way of saying, you know, congratulations for a job well done for President Trump. It's a free red knife. All you have to do is pay shipping. This knife normally retails for $70, but you can get it for free. So I hope the QR code is working today. Scan the QR code to the right and to apply your 100% off coupon and claim your Trump knife before they're all gone. And as I'm doing my best hand modeling here, so I don't either cut myself or the dog sitting down here, this is the Trump red knife. I've showed it for over a year in terms of how tough this knife is. This isn't some knife that's just sitting on my desk. It just doesn't sit there. I use this all the time where I'm cutting, open up boxes and mails and everything, and it's still sharp as you can imagine. It has a window breaker on the end here. It has also a seat belt cutter right there, and it's got a quick open thing to it, latch, which I am not going to try because I'm not about to get myself all cut up here. But if you go to the QR code, you can get this for free, absolutely for free. There's a lot of things I talk to you guys about. Sometimes their website messes up, but this here is functional. We have been using this over and over again. It's not just something I'm pitching. It actually is function. It works. Robin has one. She takes it where she goes fishing. It's heavy duty. And like I said, it is sharp as all can be. And it's free. All of that, and it's free. So if you get a chance, go ahead, scan the QR code before they're all gone. And all you've got to do is pay shipping. That's it. All right, so let me continue with what these people were doing in regards to... She didn't even reclaim my time. She just said, I can't even answer.
He, in his opening statement, said, we're here because Republicans are playing politics. Let's be clear. We're here because Act Blue's legal counsel said Ms. Wallace-Jones lied to Congress, willfully and knowingly misled the Congress of the United States. That's why we're here. Oh, by the way, who was the legal counsel, Covington Burling? Who was her counsel? Dana Remus, not some Republican. She was former White House counsel for Joe Biden. That's who said that. That's why we're here. So I just have a couple questions for you, Ms. Wallace-Jones, just a couple.
Now, Jim Jordan speaks very quickly. So in order to listen to the questions that Jim Jordan has, you're going to have to listen quick because, man, he just brings it.
Board chairman said Act Blue accepted up to 38 million contributions in 2024 that had the signs of foreign origin. How much fraud is too much fraud?
On the advice of counsel.
How much fraud is too much fraud? You can't define what too much fraud is. Why did your entire legal team quit? He's going to go through a litany of questions with her.
I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
How many foreign contributions did Act Blue accept?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
I know. I see in the chat, some of you guys like, I can't deal with this. The reason why you can't deal with it because you're watching pure, unadulterated Democrat corruption on full display with not even a sniff of remorse. They don't care that you know that they're frauds. They don't care that you know that they've stolen money. Not at all. And why does it matter? Because this just isn't some NGO. This is friggin' Act Blue. Act Blue is the lifeline, the actual lifeblood, main line for the Democrat Party. It's where they get all their money. It's the golden goose. It's how they vacuum up billions of small dollar donations. So you're trying to tell me that some of the people who are communists, who don't have jobs, but you get billions of dollars of small donations. From who? These people can't do anything. They can barely buy a double latte grande at Starbucks, but they're sending billions of dollars collectively to Act Blue to go into presidential races, Senate races, House races, down all the way down to your local school board. Virtually every Democrat candidate in the country, all the way up from local to federal, routes their money through Act Blue. Let that sink in. Wherever you're sitting tonight, your county commissioner is getting money from Act Blue. Before you go up to the mayor, before you go up to the House, the Senate, and then the National House and Senate, that whole vertical is being funded by Act Blue. It's amazing. In 2024 cycle alone, they processed tens of billions of dollars. Small donors, though, all small donors. Without Act Blue, the Democrat Party, as you know it, would collapse overnight. That's why this is such a big deal. That's why this matters. Even though you hear her saying, all these things, the part that you have to know, and what her attorneys have to know, is that there's a microscope on you right now. They're watching your every move. They're watching your transfers. They're asking you questions that they already know the answers to. Yes, the walls are definitely closing in. The Democrat Party is this close from completely collapsing. This has been their secret weapon. This is how they function. This is how they stay in power. And today, this CEO woman, that's a whole nother question, won't answer a single question. Nothing. She doesn't care about fraud. She doesn't care that you know. She doesn't care about anything. You know that when they collected these credit cards, they didn't even need the CVC code or whatever it's called. You know on the back of your credit card, the 3-digit code, or if it's American Express, it's a 4-digit code. They didn't even require that to validate where the money was coming from. You can't buy something on a website without putting the 3-digit code in. Ashley and the girls are coming down 2 weeks, and I was buying movie tickets, and you got to put the 3-digit code in. Act Blue, don't worry about it. Just put the credit card, debit card, cash card, phony card. Doesn't matter. As long as we get the money, we don't care. Why? Because if you put the CV card and have to actually verify, it slows down the donations. Some may get kicked. And you can't have that when you're completely flooding the zone for Democrats. They purposely, with full intention, lowered their fraud standards, not just once, but twice. During the 2024 election, I had to go back and look this, even as their own software screamed that fraud was at an all-time high, up to 38 million individual contributions showed signs of foreign origin. Look, 38 million individual contributions showed signs of foreign origin. I don't think they have 38 million voters. And I mean that. I think all they do is cheat. And this money was coming from Russia, China, Iran, all over the globe. And when asked about Russian money, of course, she's going to go ahead and plead the fifth.
How much money did ActBlue accept from Russia?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
You know how bad it is? You're going to love this one. When Trump got elected, the entire legal team of ActBlue and their compliance team all quit. They quit en masse, every single one of them. Dozens of them walked out the front door. We got to get out of here. We're going to be swinging if this guy, once he gets elected, he's in here. Ooh, we got to go. They couldn't stomach what was about to happen. They knew, as you now know, this is nothing but money laundering. Straw man donations, bulk prepaid gift cards. Buy the gift cards. Probably had somebody in the back room swiping them or keying in the numbers. Foreign IPs routing through American cards. Elderly Americans, dead people, all giving out donations to ActBlue. The same Democrats who scream about election interference for 8-10 years now are protecting their own cash cow. Yet they're going to lecture us, Bernie, we got to get millionaires and billionaires out of the election. They lecture us about dark money while ActBlue serves as their dark money superhighway.
Why did your entire legal team quit? Your in-house legal team?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
You realize without ActBlue, there is no Kamala Harris campaign. There is no Joe Biden campaign. That war chest, that's why they're all broke right now. Look at the numbers that the DNC has on account versus what the Republican National Committee. They're broke. Chuck Schumer doesn't get to keep his dreams alive. Local Democrats don't get the cash for their attack ads. The platform is the reason they can raise and outraise the Republicans. Even when America rejects the Democrats' agenda, even when they get caught, they just plead the fifth. You and I would go to jail. This is the height of hypocrisy. It's the pinnacle of Democrat arrogance. God, just sitting there smiling. I can't even imagine how much she's pocketed. See, this is why Trump had to win in 2024. This is why we exist. Not just to win elections, but to drain the swamp and obliterate the deep state. That's what you're watching. It's not obliterated yet, but we're about to. And we've got the right people in place to make sure that this foreign money cash cow doesn't affect us in the midterms. Now you see how it puts it together. You put this all the way together, including why they may be bombing Iran somewhat, why we're controlling the oil, why we're controlling Venezuela, why we're going to control Cuba. All those dark money hubs that have been kicking back to the Democrat Party, turning it off. Trump has said, nope, not going to happen anymore. Not on our watch. Scott Bessent watching all the everything that's flowing through the Federal Reserve, all the wire transfers, drying up fraudulent donations that have been propping up radical candidates, shutting it down.
Your legal team quit because of reduced fraud standards?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
I understand. And we won't keep you here all day, but let me just do one more. Did you weaken your fraud standards to help Democrats?
On the advice of counsel.
Shouldn't that have been an absolute no? Did you weaken your fraud so that people from all over the world, did you do that so you could help Democrats? Well, a prudent person, I wouldn't even need to talk to a lawyer. I would, no, of course not. Not at all. You can't even answer that. He basically said, did you commit a crime to help the Democrat Party? An innocent person would say, no. Not at all. How long has it been since you've been beating your wife? I've never beat my wife. Somebody asked me, you beating Robin? On the advice of counsel, I can't answer that. Actually, I wouldn't have to answer that because she wouldn't be here and I'd probably have a lumpy head or something. But in any event, I digress. If someone asks you directly to your face, Fred, Jan, Joe, did you break the law here? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? No, not no. Hell no. Nobody who's innocent says, hey, did you break the law? I can't tell you. That's what she just did. I can't tell you. How could you incriminate yourself if you said no?
I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the good work you and your committee are doing.
All right. So this is the last one I'm going to subject you to because I had to include this one because you would not believe it.
I do have a series of questions for you, but I want to make sure I'm respectful. Is it Ms. Jones or Ms. Wallace-Jones?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Okay, wow. Okay, didn't expect that one.
Do you see the faces of the people in the audience? They're like, oh my God. What's your name, Joe? Can't tell you. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. I know it's bad, Lily. Yeah, it's really bad. She's down here growling at me. Can you believe that? This woman wouldn't confirm her own name. I think everybody's watching right now that we're going to be seeing criminal referrals. We're going to see the Texas AG is going to is suing them right now. Hold on one second. Come here, little girl. Come on. You get to come up here now. You're making noise and barking at me. Yep, let Lily join us. Right now, Act Blue is being sued by the Texas AG. Obviously, the DOJ is watching. More than likely, the Treasury Department is watching. And you, everybody here, now can talk to people about Act Blue. The great silent majority, you guys can't be silent anymore. You've got to be fighting this war with us. You're going to fight? Yeah, you're going to fight. We got to be done with this two-tiered system. And the only way we can do it is to basically call your congressman, support the America First agenda, because if Regina Wallace-Jones can't even confirm her name, if she can't even affirmatively confirm her name, we are in big trouble if we let these people get away with this stuff. We can't let foreign money and fraud decide our elections. Everything right now is crashing down for the Democrats. They want to trample the Constitution. We can't let them. I know even watching this stuff pisses some of you guys off. You're like, this is insane. Well, this is what you're facing right now. This is where we are in this country. And the realization that we all have at this point is that these people have stolen us blind, maybe for decades. And so today and yesterday, when people were bitching at me about California, good. Now you have reason to be angry. Now you have reason to stay mad as hell. Stay mad. Do something. Do like the movie Network. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. You people are stealing from us. Gladly, smugly. Absolutely insane. I had to show that to you guys tonight. SB around?
Yes. Please post the Gunther Eagleman post I just sent you. That's going to have a perfect end to your story.
Hold
California.
on. Oh, it's about California?
California. I reclaim my time.
Where is it? Wow. You
the
said
very bottom.
Very bottom.
It's a link at the bottom. Yes.
Oh, I got to show the other thing first. That's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, the UFC. Oh, yeah.
That's
my
gorgeous.
Gosh.
The Octagon has made it to the White House.
Check the pictures out.
Yeah, UFC White House is live Sunday, June 14th. It's on Paramount Plus. So the fact that it's on Paramount Plus, it must be a UFC sanctioned event, which means I'll probably have to show that on Rumble. Okay. But wow, that
Check
looks
that out.
that looks
Man,
awesome.
and then the nighttime view is even more kind of neat with all the lighting and stuff.
That looks awesome. Wow,
rocks.
wow.
Let's get ready to rumble.
I can't wait. All right, let me go back and pull the other one here real quick here.
So yeah, if you're not pissed now, California, sorry for folks in California, but this is what's happening.
Go ahead.
So your taxpayer dollars are at work. California is currently raking in 80% of all federal cash, and it's going to illegal immigrant families. While American veterans sleep on the streets and working families struggle with inflation, California is turning itself into the top destination for illegal immigration, fully subsidized by your tax-paid dollars. This is unsustainable. Welcome to California.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, but I think their days are numbered. I think for sure that they are about to see things just completely change up. So crazy. All right, that's all I got.
Great show today.
That's all I got right now. Give me 90 seconds before I close and read super chats. I gotta bring her out to Robin real quick because I think she's got. You need to go potty. You need to go outside. Yeah, I want to go outside. Oh, please. All right, I'll be right back.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so SV just texted me and said the link for the knife is still not working. Ashley hit them up a couple days ago, and it's still not working. So I will endeavor to get that fixed tomorrow and let them know, hey guys, you're missing customers. So I will work on that very quickly. Let's look at super chats here real quick before we go tonight. Pekoski, thank you. You got a big package coming your way, bro. Big package out to Illinois. Thank you. Chiosop, Mike's guy doesn't always work with everyone. Major military presents in Guantanamo Bay. I hope they do something down there. Landstedler. John Thune, staffer, just resigned in disgust and blew the whistle, claims the Rhino Senate Majority Leader is sabotaging President Trump's agenda. Tell us something we don't know. I hope he spill the beans. To inspire, thank you. Chiosop, they keep saying our democracy, also know they're fraud. Exactly. Chiosop 3 times here. I wonder who has his hand up her arse, because there's no way that this one is smart enough to run Act Blue. Must be getting paid well. Yep. All figureheads. Chiosop, Hilton has to beat them at their ballot harvest game. He's going to have to get people out there. And the last one is, what breed is that dog? The doggy in the window is a Maltese. That's what she is. I think she just turned a little bit over 1.5 or so. Yeah, so she's a Maltese. And Michael, late one. How do we get Miss Jones of Act Blue into a courtroom Would she do the same there? No, she will not be able to do the same there. And I think that the courtroom is coming very soon to a knock on her door very soon after what we saw today. And pretty much, I think that they probably already have a lot on her, and it's just a matter of, now that they're going to get a criminal referral, and she's in trouble. She's in big trouble. All right, everybody, thanks for sticking through 2 shows today. We had the Trump one early, which may bump me back till tonight. But hey, listen, we got through 2 shows, and you guys, thank you. I hope you enjoyed them both. I don't have, let's see, it's 9:15. Let me see if President Trump's schedule for tomorrow has been posted as of yet. Tomorrow is Thursday. It's probably going to be press conference day. I would almost guess that it's press conference day tomorrow because they haven't had one this week yet. Let's see. Thursday. Let's see, what do we got? Well, no press conference. Wow. So we got Melania is speaking at 11, and President Trump is signing something at 3 o'clock, and he's got a bunch of closed events. So no press conference this week. No Stephen Miller. What a bummer. All right. See you guys tomorrow, probably about 4 o'clock if they don't change tomorrow.
Bye.